Hey guys, how you doing? This is Mark behind closed doors. Everybody can get it. How you guys doing? How you guys doing? Hey, this is a podcast series that I put together for my caregivers of the world. Folks that take care of people that can't take care of themselves. And that's one, that's whether special needs, a special need loved one, whether elderly care, whether it's blind, whether it's mental health issues, whatever, right? Guys, we're talking about caregivers, right? We're here to appreciate caregivers, and that's what this platform is. It is the place. It is the place to be. We don't judge anybody here, right? It just come peek in, right? You don't even have to say much. You know what I mean? But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for coming in. Today, I just do want to tap in, man. I have to acknowledge, as I mentioned, earlier during the day, man. Hey, man, we Caregivers Chronicles, our platform that Caregiver Chronicles and Behind Closed Doors is on Facebook, which you're ultimately probably taking a look at this now on. Man, we have a following, so that's what they say from a social media standpoint. What we call it, believers, right? We have 18,000 believers, right? 18,000 believers. And what that means to me is that's 18,000 people that, poked at it, right? I mean, hey, I like you, man. I like what you guys, what you guys have going on. And, I thank you for that. What that also does is that opens up dialogue. Right? That's more people kind of speaking up when it comes to caregiving and that sort of thing. Just the fact that they even, like I said, poked or did anything to that effect. I appreciate it, right, guys? The ultimate goal is to kind of get some engagement going. Like I said, just small stuff, but it all helps. That's what makes platforms like this formidable. I mean, it ain't the pokes, it's the comments, it's the thumbs up, it's the fist pounds and all that kind of stuff, right? That's what kind of keeps everything going. That's what makes it formidable, and that's what keep me in the game, right? I mean, I want to make sure this stuff is formidable. This is a before I even get there, guys, I try to do my little, my background a little bit. So you if you're here for the first time, right? Once again, it is Mark Taylor. I have a 11-year-old son with Down syndrome, autism, and ADHD. Mark has sleep apnea. He's 24-hour care. We homeschool him. He's our life amongst our other kids as well. So, you know what I mean? The beat goes on. As far as caregiving, at one point I was 3-way caregiving. Right now I'm at 2-way, so to speak, right? I caregive for my son, and I also from afar caregive for my brother as well. That's 47. He has, some intellectual disabilities as well. But nevertheless, guys, I'm back at you. I'm going to go dive on in, man. This is part of a 5 episode, right? 5 episode. This is a series where we're breaking down that word caregiving, right? And ultimately it's the culture, right? We're talking about culture in episode number 1. How can you change that culture? The culture where in other countries and stuff outside of the United States. I'm in Arizona, right? Their culture is so different as it pertains to caregiving and who take care of the old, who take care of the young, who take care of the special needs. The culture's changed. So we talked about that. So tap in to my podcast, Behind Closed Doors, on YouTube, right? You can get episode 1 and episode number 2, which is why, right? Why one person always end up getting stuck. Why is that so much of a pattern? Right, in America anyway, right, where you got one person and they're taking care of mama, right, but mama had 10 kids but they're stuck with one. So we talked about that as well. So ultimately, before we even get to like, okay, hey, let's get to that next phase where where we can all sit down and have a powwow and say who's going to do what and all that stuff, right? We got to break this thing down, and that it is, and it is meant to be broke down, and I had to do it in 5 episodes. So you got the first 2. This is number 3, which I'm about to tap in now. Guys. All right, let me go back to my notes and my glasses. Hold on now. I got to get my red foxes out. Got to get it out. But I'm glad you guys are hanging in there. I hope you guys had a great weekend, man. About ready to get this week started. Tap in, people. Tap in, please. Let me know where you're from, where you at. What's your caregiving situation? You know what I mean? Give me a comment, subscribe, please, guys, help me out. Every little bit helps out, you know what I mean? Acknowledge, you know what I mean? Hey, that you're out there, man. This platform is ultimately for you guys, and from you guys. So, all right, let's go, man. Episode number 3, when caregiving becomes identity, right? Core idea, right? Caregiving starts at a role, right? But slowly turns into identity you never agreed to wear forever, right? By the way, guys, ladies and gentlemen, right? This is a podcast series. This is for the grown folks, right? So every now and then, I'm going to shake it up a little bit, say, shit or damn or something like that. So you got to make sure you get the kids out the room. But yes, we're talking about when caregiving becomes an identity, right? Where you where you just kind of pegged, you stamped, you the one gonna do this, right? You've been in the field for a long time. You're a doctor, you a nurse, you a this, you that, right? You just stamped that, right? Key breakdown points. Let's see here. How caregiving stopped being seen as people and started being seen as functions. When support shifts from who we are to you'll handle it, right? Versus kind of putting a label on people. That's what I was talking about in the second piece there, where second episode where I was talking about breaking up caregiving, right? That's where caregiving is done right. And once again, caregiving is the extension. It is the first part to the aftercare, right? Especially when you're dealing with elderly care, when unfortunately their time is a lot shorter than the other categories, so to speak, of people who they care for. All right. The moment caregivers lose permission to rest, dream, change, want more, right? Why stepping back feels like betrayal, even when it's necessary, right? Man, I think that's my mantra as it becomes, and as it pertains to behind closed doors. It is like, man, I'm not feeling guilty about nothing, man. When it gets rough, when it gets tough, and it does, right? It can get pretty tough, but man, you still have to have a life. You still have to be able to try to make some dreams. You got to try to make some things happen around it. Is it going to shape your life differently? Absolutely, hell yeah, yes it will. Right? Caregiving for somebody, you're going to have to make some sacrifices along the way as well, from an education, from a money standpoint, from a marriage standpoint, from a parenting strength, whatever, right? It's gonna cost, right? The difference between loving deeply and disappearing completely, right? I mean, I think we all kind of shared that story, right? Where you everybody in the family, right? We all got a family. We got that one sibling or that one person in the family we all thought was going to be the go-to, like, yeah, we can go ahead and dump all mama or daddy stuff all on her or him, they'll handle it and blah, 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 right? It shouldn't be that way. Once again, takeaway, reclaiming identity isn't selfish. It's how caregiving becomes sustainable instead of destructive. Right? Let's see here. Get all my stuff in. Did everything? Wait a minute. Did I get everything in there? I think I did. Yeah, I think I did. That was all the 3, guys. Yeah, I try to make everything nice and short and sweet. Yeah, I mean, so the bottom, core, I'm going to take on off. I just kind of read the notes, and I will provide the notes again, for you guys for number 3. So you kind of get an opportunity to kind of tap in. But I always like to give my perspective. Those are kind of my notes or whatever, kind of help me follow along. But now you're about to get the other side of it. When it says when caregiving becomes an identity. I tapped on it a little bit. I was talking about, how people, takes the role or assume the role, right? I think ideally caregiving, people in families and things like that, we like to stick it on women, right? You know what I mean? That's kind of a tradition. Like the women do it, right? The women got to get together. They got to be the caregivers and everything. So shout out to my women. Shout out to the women, man. Shout out to the women. I guess I was one of those rare breeds that when my mom, late great, she, passed away in March of 2025, she, it was just me and my brother, right? And my brother, he ran his course, right? He was with my mom for quite a few years, and he called up bro and said, man, I can't do this no more. So I had to step up, right? So men, right? Statistically, men has made a mark. We made a mark, and it was increasing numbers, right? It's more men in this outfit that's actually doing it. And I think that's kind of a societal type of thing that's kind of going on. So, in terms of it, identity and things like that, I like to tie into, like I said, assumable, right? We assume that such and such can do it. Or let's say we got somebody that, you have a niece or a nephew or somebody that's working in elderly care or in those type of facilities. We automatically think that they should assume the role simply because they're in the profession, and that's not always the case, right? Why get burnt out 2 or 3 times, right? Go do 8 hours of work, and then you got to go do another 8 hours of work with your loved one. Man, I'm telling you, I don't care how good or how much you love them and all that, but when you're tired and you're taking care of people, that shit reflects. Right? You know what I mean? It's a lot of weight. So we got to stop doing that, man. So part 3 really, like I said, just really taps into, ultimately, what we quote unquote assume, who fits the description and where that needs to go. So I'm glad we was, I tapped into that subject. I did have one more thing I wanted to kind of slip in here real quick behind closed. Okay, yeah. If the entire worth is tied to what you provide, the system will never let you stop providing, right? Reclaiming identity isn't selfish. It's how caregiving becomes sustainable instead of destructive. I did kind of tap into that. I mean, I like that. I like that. That's why I put a lot of emphasis on feedback, right? We have speaking to that, we have a reel, right? A particular reel that went viral. It was on my wife. She was in a moment. I posted, and man, I mean, those comments are just rolling in. I think it was somewhere to the tune. Right now, I think it's at about 1.7 million views and things, and it's like, man, those comments, man, they're like, I'm still answering comments from that, that reel. I say all that to say is too that we do as a culture, we try to, put a tag on family members or people like that feel like they can do it or something like that. And that ain't fair. Once again, it is by committee. So I'm gonna go ahead and close that one out, guys. I thank you for sitting in for episode number 3, Behind Closed Doors. Everybody can get it. You guys take it easy.